Dale Keown's PITT 1 and 2, created by Dale Keown for Image Comics in 1993. Welcome back, friends. I hope you're doing well. Obviously, this is not PITT 1 or 2. PITT's first appearance isn't even in the first issue. His initial appearance was in Youngblood number 4, and not even as part of the story. It was a 9-page preview at the end of the book. What the hell? Why wasn't it its own thing? Basically, to recap it real quick, PITT is held prisoner on this ship. This big dude is coming in to inspect, and since the little guy somehow lost the prisoner, he shoots himself. Meanwhile, in a New York subway on Earth, Timmy and his grandfather are riding home from the Penguins game with a Mario Lemieux hockey stick. That's confusing to me. A gang of young scamps are messing with a woman and the grandfather goes to break it up when he gets jumped. Timmy springs into action, getting a high sticking penalty when suddenly the air is electrified and boom! PITT appears, and in a scene reminiscent of Predator 2, he tears the group apart, says some kind words, and leaps away. Huh. Not as expensive as I would have expected this comic to be. Wish I had known about it before I started doing all this. So anyway, issue 1. Here's the list of comic slaves for this issue. A rowdy biker gang is whooping it up when they come across PITT, wandering the streets late at night completely naked. They decide to beat him up with flails and bats for no real reason, as you do when you encounter a stranger. Naturally, PITT doesn't take kindly to that, and proceeds to wreck everything. Quick side note, I hope I can convey during this review. These issues are low on backstory, but supercharged with, gigantic action? Like this double-page spread, for instance. The lead biker gets a shot off with his shotgun right into PITT's stomach. The biker leader laughs victoriously as PITT gets back to his feet. Massive fingernails extending, explodes into a double-page spread, once again showing I didn't have any clue what I was talking about in that Gen 13 review when I said I don't think people did the pin-up double-page spread very often. Timmy screams awake and his grandfather rushes in to comfort the lad. He conveniently mentions Timmy's parents are dead and gives a callback to PITT's first appearance. Elsewhere, Bart Simpson's getting a cup of coffee and Bobby Harras makes her entrance. This image immediately makes me think of something you might see in the later 90s in, say, Humberto Ramos' series Crimson. Maybe it's the red. She gets filled in on some images from the subway car from her new partners Smithers and, Philip Johnson. Hey look, a couple of shots rubbing in the fact that you missed out on what happened in the preview on Youngblood. Back at PITT, he's talking to the voice of Jared that lives inside his head, even though they don't tell us that. And his Terminator 2 homage is complete with the clothes of the motorcycle gang. Good thing one of the riders was wearing big and husky pants that fit just right. The voice reminds him that he is an assassin and boom! Instant flashback to a strange alien, redundant, world. These peaceful looking weirdos exchange some Yoda-isms and suddenly a race called the Creed attack with driving music that'll make them one of the most commercially successful bands of the early 2000s and yet still one of the worst received. Apparently led by a dude that looks like PITT. Moving on! PITT stops him, saying, "Your words assault me," and immediately I'm reminded of Twitter as he pops a wheelie on a tidy motorcycle. Back at the Times Square station in New York, where our previous preview comic took place, a bunch of cops stand around, further making you feel bad about missing out on Youngblood number 4. They discuss what I can only refer to as minimal destruction. Outside, Bobby Harras and Smithers are arguing when they hear gunfire coming from the crime scene. They dash down into the station just as several cops are hurled against the wall. "Freeze!" they call as they come face to face with a double-page spread of 3 giants at the end of the first issue. Those are my fingers. I want original Dale Keown art. Mark Silvestri, too, probably. I can't remember. Is he one of those jerks talking crap about people online also? Yeah, whatever. Gallery page. I thought by Sam Keith from the Max fame did this, but I can't read the signature. Certainly looks like his work. Hey, special guest appearance by me again. And this is unsigned. Not really one of my favorites. So I have no idea. Ah, Wizard. I miss Wizard. I have like 4 random issues of them here. Let me know in the comments if you'd like for me to do a video where I post some of the funnier things I find in them. Stuff like speculation on how awesome the Star Wars prequels are gonna be. Hotcha! T2 Arcade coming soon to the Sega Genesis. That might be fun. I'm thinking the Game Boy version is going to somehow be lacking though. Hey, Sergio Aragonés. I have never heard of these comics. I like Sergio rubbing Superman's death in his face a little though. Not that I don't like Superman, it's just funny. Enter the wind, Sunsoft. DC superhero sweepstakes. If we draw your name, we'll draw your face. Who can help us, Batman? The back of this kid's head can. I wonder if anyone ever really won these types of competitions. Or any competitions, for that matter. I used to buy so many candy bars and soda pops and sorry, try again was a bane of my existence. I don't believe there ever was a prize. Issue 2, Comic Slaves, starts with a bank robbery that your boy Zach would be happy about. Why, hello there. I like your 90s big hair. Don't judge me, audience. I used to love big hair in the 90s. They flee the bank with, I assume, all the money, while this doofus pulls off his stocking mask. Just then, this hip blonde about town that I assume is late to work every single day, despite working there for the past 4 years, but somehow still can't manage to get to work on time, even though she knows well how long it takes to get there, sees the face of the thug, and instantly gets shoved into their getaway van. Are vans more or less conspicuous than any other car you could possibly choose? The criminals bicker amongst themselves as they do, and the whole ordeal does not go unnoticed by Pitt and his Harley-Davidson motorcycle. I miss my bike. Honestly, I rode a bike every day for at least 6 years, and growing my fingernails out never really helped with anything. But they do! Pitt chases after the crooks and tears the back of the van off with his bare hands. They open fire on the beast, which has zero effect. Woof. Pitt crushes the gun in the guy's hand at the same time, and goes for some boob action before pulling the woman out of the van. She expresses concern over the money from her job, despite the fact that she can't show up on time, and Pitt considers it worthless before Hulk jumping out of the scene. Cut to the cop this chick has been telling the story to, and he asks her out for breakfast. I'm calling no bank is open in time for breakfast. Times Square. Boom! Our interdimensional villains blast their way to freedom as Harass, in her shirt conveniently ripped in the comic book fashion, comes to from the shockwave. She heads after the nefarious trio as Smithers calls for her help. She lifts the pillar off him and gives a excuse about adrenaline that nobody is going to buy. There's a lengthy exchange between Pitt and Jerub about genetic splicing and the similarities between him and the boy named Timmy. They basically come to the understanding that Pitt needs to go to protect the kid now from the villains that will be searching for him. Meanwhile, at Timmy's house, he's eating cookies, as you should, and watching the news of the latest trouble of which he was involved. When the trio of bad guys burst through the wall, Timmy flees the room and his grandfather is seized by one of these nefarious ne'er-do-wells. Pitt's on the scene looking terrifying and immediately goes to work on them, slashing and tearing. I really like the layout of this page. Pitt is hit with a shot from the leader, and it's said that he's some kind of a traitor. He's blasted a number of times before this guy grabs him with his pinchy claw and fires their shot directly into the side of his head. This is worth the price of admission. Pitt blasts the dude's head off in a double-page spread that sends it flying. Jerub, Pitt, and Timmy have a brief conversation, and Pitt ninja vanishes into nothing but a cloud of confusion for me. Meanwhile, in space, No-Nose here is forced to explain to this utter nightmare that Pitt has escaped to Earth. Old Skullface says that he's personally sacrificed his own DNA to combine with a human in order to create him. And like any decent villain, he sucks the life and fear out of him for his failure. The end! A letters page, an obscure questionable advertisement, Strike Force, and aha! Gen X! Gen 13 before Marvel certainly pitched a fit at its similarity to X-Men comics of the day. Would you buy this comic? Gotta tell you, I'm not convinced from this ad. And finally, a character with a questionable patriotic codpiece. And that's it! Not a whole heck of a lot of information or backstory on these characters. I think that's just the way comics used to be done. I'm sure in like issue 15 they give you the super secret origin of Shmeh. But I don't know if I would ever do a book like that. I personally would at least have the main character terminate his way onto the scene, at least in his own first issue. It'd be a tiny bit more understandable if Pitt's entrance at least had something to do with the Youngblood story, but it didn't. Sorry folks, if you're feeling a little less than informed with Pitt 1 and 2, all I can say is check out the Gospel of Comics on YouTube this Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, where I will be discussing the first 6 issues of this series with those guys. Actually, I'll probably read up to the first 9 to see if there's any more story to be had. Link in the description. As for anything I've learned that I can apply to my own comic, last time, it's all about the little things. Really, in this case, it's studying how the inker handled the extra lines of detail and line thicknesses. Boring stuff, but important. Also, these 2 comics. When Pitt gets going and really starts ripping into people, it's very action-packed. And I think I want to try to emulate that energy that Dale puts into those big panels, without actually doing double-page spreads. So that's it for this week, guys. Like I said, don't forget to check me out on the Gospel of Comics this weekend. I'm going to try my hardest to get part 1 of my Danger Girl Spectacular out as soon as possible. And then soon I'm going to be heading back to the Bonus Commentary podcast to do another movie review with those guys. But I'll let you know the details as that gets closer. Until next time, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. I really appreciate the support. Thanks. Bye.
I'll be back.